Hey guys, tonight we begin with a journey, not into some gilded fairy tale, but deep into the stinking, festering bowels of 17th century French royalty. Forget the castles shimmering with magical light. You wouldn't last a day. Tell me, right now, what time zone are you comfortably rotting in? Because where we're going, the clock barely matters beyond. Is it dark yet? You wake up. Not to the gentle rays of a Parisian dawn filtering through silken curtains, but to the cold, damp creep of morning in your Versailles bedchamber. A room opulent only in its decaying grandeur. Your eyes crack open, crusty with the night's secretions, and the first thing that registers isn't the elaborate frescoes on the ceiling, but the distinct, ammoniac tang of stale urine, a pervasive atmospheric perfume that clings to everything like a shroud. You scratch instinctively at your scalp, a familiar itch that has become an unwelcome morning ritual, and a tiny, almost imperceptible flea probably commits suicide beneath your fingernail. Good riddance, you think, though 1,000 more of its brethren likely remain, nestled comfortably in the unwashed depths of your elaborate nightcap. That's your first challenge of the day, isn't it? Just existing in this cesspit of luxury. The very air you breathe feels thick, as if laden with the exhalations of 100 unwashed bodies from the previous night's courtly crush. A noxious blend of human sweat, cheap wine, and the sickly sweet cloy of expensive but ineffective perfumes meant to mask it all. Your tongue feels like a woolen sock left out in the rain, gritty with yesterday's dinner and the foul taste of a night spent breathing through a partially open mouth, thanks to a perpetually blocked sinus. You shift, and the straw mattress beneath you groans, releasing a cloud of dust motes that dance in the sliver of light, pushing past the heavy, velvet drapes. Those drapes, haven't been cleaned in a decade, a monument to accumulated grime, a silent testament to the sheer, unthinking filth that pervades even the highest echelons of society. You pull your hand from under the thin, threadbare blanket, and a faint, sticky sheen adheres to your skin. Sleep isn't much of a cleanser, is it? More like a prolonged marination in your own bodily secretions, a nightly stew of sweat and grime. This is your reality. This isn't a story of brave knights or elegant ladies. It's a visceral plunge into the daily indignities of a period obsessed with superficial splendor while utterly oblivious to basic sanitation. Your very blanket seems to silently judge you, a damp, malodorous shroud that offers little comfort but ample misery. The room itself, a testament to faded glory, whispers of 100 previous occupants, each contributing their own unique blend of bodily effluvium to the collective aroma. The tapestries, once vibrant, are now dull with dust, and the accidental splashes of wine and vomit from countless previous soirees. You can practically taste the history, and it tastes like regret and decay. The cold seeps into your bones, a constant companion that no amount of heavy clothing seems to truly repel. You curl tighter, but the itch on your neck persists, a tiny, relentless reminder of your unwelcome bedfellows. The thought of getting up, of facing the day, feels like another monumental task, a Sisyphean struggle against the inevitable slide into further degradation. Your muscles ache from sleeping in a contorted position, trying to avoid the damp spots on the mattress or the particularly persistent lumps of straw. The air, heavy and stagnant, makes your head throb, a dull, rhythmic pain that promises to accompany you through the waking hours. You can already hear the distant murmurs of servants, the clatter of pots, the occasional sharp cry, the symphony of a vast, unhygienic palace stirring to life. And you, a part of this grotesque ballet, must now rise. You flex your fingers, feeling the grittiness under your nails, a sensation that will become a familiar theme throughout your day. The very thought of trying to scrub it away feels ludicrous, a futile gesture against the tide of pervasive filth. Your stomach grumbles, but the thought of breakfast, a watery pottage that often resembles a graveyard stew, fills you with a different kind of dread. It's a bitter comedy, isn't it? To be surrounded by such immense wealth, yet constantly teetering on the edge of discomfort, disease, and outright disgust. The sun, when it finally manages to pierce the heavy, grimy window panes, does little to dispel the gloom, merely highlighting the swirling dust motes, each a tiny, disgusting universe of detritus. The sheer scale of the palace, intended to impress, now feels like an overwhelming cage, trapping you in its filthy grandeur. You push yourself up, the straw rustling protestingly beneath you, and your bare feet hit the cold stone floor, a shock that jolts you fully awake. This is it. Another day, another chance to navigate the precarious tightrope between courtly splendor and gut-wrenching squalor. And you still haven't even brushed your teeth. This morning, as every morning, promises a fresh crop of indignities, a new layer of grime to accumulate, a testament to your ironic endurance in this opulent cesspool. Getting out of bed is less an act of volition and more a reluctant surrender to the bladder's insistent demands. The chamber pot, a ceramic basin tucked away in the corner, is already half full, its contents a testament to the night's quiet contributions from both yourself and any nocturnal visitors who may have stumbled in for a quick tryst or a whispered conspiracy. The stench, a familiar acrid bouquet, assaults your nostrils the moment you approach it. There's no proper latrine, of course, not in this opulent palace. You simply relieve yourself where you stand, or rather, where you squat, the noxious fumes rising to greet you. There's a tersorium, a sort of communal sponge on a stick, perpetually damp and suspiciously dark, resting in a bucket of murky, stagnant water. This is your toilet paper, and you try not to think too hard about how many hands, or how many other unspeakable things, that sponge has encountered before yours. It's an exercise in willful ignorance, a daily ritual of grim necessity. You quickly rinse your hands, or rather, wet them, in a small basin of cold, grimy water that has been brought in by a servant. The water itself feels slimy, barely a step above the chamber pot's contents, and does little to dispel the lingering odors or the greasy film on your skin. True washing, a full bath, is a rare, almost unheard of luxury, considered by many to be detrimental to one's health. Water, they believe, opens the pores, allowing disease to seep into the body. Better to remain hermetically sealed in your own filth, apparently. The concept of hygiene, as you understand it, simply does not exist here. Instead, it's a constant battle against the outward manifestations of filth, a cosmetic war waged with powders and perfumes. You glance at your reflection in a tarnished silver mirror. Your face is pale, drawn, with the faint impression of lines left by the bed linen. Your hair, long and unwashed, hangs in greasy tangles. You try to run a comb through it, but it snags, pulling out a few strands, and you resign yourself to its fate. It will soon be hidden under a wig anyway. Your teeth, yellowed and uneven, ache faintly, a constant reminder of the rudimentary dental care, or lack thereof, available. You rub at them with a corner of a rough linen cloth, a futile gesture that accomplishes little more than spreading the morning breath around. No wonder everyone's breath is perpetually foul. It's a collective miasma, a shared burden of oral decay. Next, the ritual of dressing begins. Your valet, a stoic man who smells faintly of stale sweat and cheap tobacco, enters with your clothes for the day. Layers upon layers of heavy fabrics, linen shirts, silk waistcoats, velvet coats, breeches, each a trap for sweat and grime. These garments are rarely washed, perhaps aired out on a sunny day if the weather permits. The fabric feels stiff, almost abrasive against your skin, and you know, with a sickening certainty, that the previous day's sweat, perhaps even a few accidental stains, still cling to the fibers. Each layer adds to the oppressive warmth, turning your body into a hothouse for bacteria. Your undergarments, ostensibly cleaner, are still far from fresh, having been worn for several days. They absorb your sweat and release a faint, musky odor that mingles with the more dominant palace smells. As your valet helps you into your breeches, you notice a small dark stain on the inner thigh, a memory of a misaimed stream from the chamber pot, a tiny, disgusting secret you share only with your long-suffering servant. The thought makes your stomach churn, but you suppress it. What's the point? This is life. This is Versailles. The constant, gnawing awareness of your own bodily degradation is a daily companion, a shadow that follows you through every gilded hall. The act of dressing is a slow, laborious process, each garment adding another layer to your discomfort. The heavy brocades and stiff laces restrict your movement, creating a constant chafing against your skin. The thick stockings, often ill-fitting, bunch at your ankles, causing a constant, low-level irritation. And the shoes, made of heavy leather, are stiff and unyielding, prone to pinching and rubbing. You are encased, not in finery, but in a prison of uncomfortable fabric and accumulated filth. Your valet, with practiced movements, pulls on your shoes, his own hands grimy, his nails rimmed with dirt. He's no cleaner than you are, of course. His life is an endless cycle of serving, cleaning up after the nobility, yet never truly escaping the pervasive squalor. You pity him, sometimes, in a detached, cynical way. He's trapped in the same cesspool, just at a different level. He smooths out a wrinkle in your waistcoat, and you catch a whiff of his own body odor, a pungent mix of stale beer and unwashed linen. It's a testament to the fact that personal space, much like personal hygiene, is a concept largely alien here. The air is thick with shared breaths, shared germs, shared odors. As the final layers are applied, you feel a distinct sense of relief that your natural hair will soon be hidden. The wig is the ultimate concealer, isn't it? A magnificent, powdered edifice designed to hide a multitude of sins. Greasy hair, lice, even the faint sheen of sweat. It's a crown of lies, a beautiful deception. You prepare for the next step, knowing that even as you don this symbol of courtly refinement, the rot beneath remains, patiently waiting. Heading to the king's levee is less a grand procession and more a jostling, malodorous crush through perpetually dim, drafty corridors. The palace, a monument to ostentatious power, is a labyrinth of human traffic, all converging on the king's bedchamber like insects drawn to a festering wound. You're elbow to elbow with dukes whose breath smells like curdled wine, duchesses whose elaborate coiffures seem to actively propagate the stench of rancid powder, and minor nobles whose desperation to be seen is palpable, almost as palpable as their unwashed armpits. The air in these crowded passages is a thick, choking fog of human exhalations, cheap tallow candle smoke, and the overwhelming, cloying sweetness of perfume, a desperate attempt to mask the underlying miasma of unwashed bodies, stale excrement, and general decay. It clings to your clothes, seeps into your skin, a permanent fixture in the atmosphere of Versailles. You try to keep your footing on the slick, stone floors, perpetually grimy from spilled food, tracked in mud, and the occasional unfortunate discharge from an incontinent courtier. The king himself, the Sun King, the very epicenter of this putrid universe, is no stranger to questionable hygiene. He might be divine, but his body is just as prone to the grim realities of the era. His teeth, are notoriously bad. His breath a foul wind even from across a crowded room. His doctors are more concerned with bleeding him than bathing him. And his grand levee, where nobles compete for the honor of watching him rise and dress, is a daily tableau of shared disease. You stand, or rather, are crushed, amongst a sea of humanity, each person a potential vector for the next fever, the next outbreak of smallpox. The constant coughing, the sniffles, the wheezing breaths of the older courtiers, it's a symphony of sickness, a subtle reminder of the fragility of life, even for those at the peak of power. The very purpose of the elaborate perfumes, the civet, the musk, the ambergris, becomes clear, not to smell good, but to overpower the actual bad smells. It's a chemical warfare against the pervasive reek, a fragrant curtain drawn across an open sewer. You catch a glimpse of a woman, a countess perhaps, her face heavily powdered, but through the layers of white, you can discern the faint, telltale pockmarks of smallpox, a permanent scar of a battle she barely survived. Another man, a marquis, habitually scratches at his scalp beneath his voluminous wig, his movements jerky, frantic. You know what that means. Lice. Everyone has them, of course. They're an unavoidable part of life. A constant, itchy reminder of your shared humanity with the lowest stable boy. You try not to make eye contact with too many people, not just for social reasons, but to avoid catching whatever ailment might be festering behind their polite smiles. Court is a performance, but it's a performance staged in a perpetual fever dream of ill health. The rigid social hierarchy, the endless politeness, the intricate dances of power, all of it plays out against a backdrop of fundamental biological decay. The grand halls, meant to inspire awe, feel more like glorified waiting rooms in a particularly poorly managed hospital, where the wealthy and powerful languish in their own effluvium. The air grows heavier, warmer, as more bodies pack into the anteroom. The sound of shuffling feet, whispered conversations, and the occasional retching cough fills the space. You shift your weight, your feet already aching from the hours of standing, and the oppressive weight of your clothing makes your skin prickle with sweat. You feel a bead of perspiration trace a path down your temple, leaving a slightly gritty trail as it disappears into the lace of your collar. This is the truth of courtly life. Stripped bare of its gilded veneer, it's a continuous confrontation with the physical realities of a time when the body was a leaky, vulnerable vessel, and cleanliness was a concept barely understood. The grand statements of power and wealth are undercut by the simple, disgusting truth of biological existence. The king, in all his glory, is still a man, susceptible to the same vile diseases, the same foul odors, the same inevitable decay as the lowliest peasant. And you, as a courtier, are simply a more elegantly dressed participant in this grand, festering spectacle. The constant threat of contagion hangs in the air, heavier than any perfume, a silent, invisible assassin waiting to strike. You suppress a shiver, a fleeting thought of the inevitable, and then force yourself to focus on the performance, on the delicate art of appearing unconcerned even as your skin crawls with invisible tormentors, and your lungs inhale a constant stream of contagion. This collective decay, this shared experience of grime and sickness, is the true bond that unites everyone in Versailles, a bond far stronger than any oath of loyalty or shared ambition. Breakfast, or rather, the first substantial intake of calories, is less a delightful repast and more a desperate foray into culinary Russian roulette. Forget fresh pastries and hot coffee. Your staple is panis rusticus, a hard, dense bread often made from coarser grains, frequently stale, and always requiring a significant effort to chew. It's more akin to a weapon than sustenance, capable of chipping a tooth or lodging itself stubbornly in your gullet. Alongside it, a watery pottage, a thin stew of vegetables, perhaps some scraps of meat if you're fortunate, but more often resembling a graveyard stew, gray, viscous, and perpetually lukewarm. The meat might be rancid, the vegetables might be worm-eaten, and the water used to boil it could well have come from a dubious source. There's no proper table etiquette as you know it. You eat with your hands, tearing off chunks of bread, scooping the pottage directly from a communal wooden bowl, or sometimes a pewter plate that hasn't seen soap and water in weeks. The concept of personal cutlery is a novel one, largely reserved for the highest nobility on the grandest occasions. Your fingers, perpetually grimy from the day's encounters, become your primary utensils, carrying the risk of introducing whatever microscopic horrors cling to your skin directly into your digestive tract. You try not to think about it, but the faint, metallic tang of unwashed pewter against your tongue, or the greasy feel of the wooden spoon, is a constant, unwelcome reminder of the shared, dubious hygiene. Sharing cups is commonplace, a dizzying exchange of saliva and potential pathogens. One moment you're drinking from a goblet, the next it's passed to your neighbor, who then takes a swig, his breath mingling with yours. It's an efficient way to spread every cold, cough, and stomach ailment through the court. Dysentery, parasites, food poisoning. These aren't rare occurrences. They're everyday realities, often shrugged off as a touch of the humors or the will of God. You've seen courtiers excuse themselves mid-meal, their faces pale, their hands clutching their stomachs, only to return minutes later, looking even more disheveled. The kitchens, a chaotic, soot-stained inferno of activity, are a testament to the era's complete disregard for sanitation. Chickens peck at scraps on the floor, rats scurry freely amongst sacks of grain, and the cooks, sweating profusely in the oppressive heat, often handle raw meat with unwashed hands, then wipe them on their grimy aprons before preparing the next dish. The idea of refrigeration is centuries away, so food spoils quickly, and the line between edible and rotten is often blurred, existing primarily in the cook's desperate optimism. You push a chunk of the tough bread into your mouth, chewing slowly, dutifully. It's bland, unappetizing, but it's fuel. Your stomach, perpetually grumbling from the combination of sparse meals and intestinal parasites, demands sustenance, even if your palate rebels against it. The sheer hunger often overrides the disgust, a primal instinct for survival, asserting itself over the more refined sensibilities you once possessed. You watch another courtier, a plump duchess, elegantly dabbing at her mouth with a linen napkin, but her eyes betray a desperate hunger, a frantic pace to her eating that belies her genteel facade. Everyone here is constantly hungry, it seems, despite the abundance. Perhaps it's the poor quality of the food, the lack of true nourishment. Perhaps it's the constant strain of court life, draining energy faster than it can be replenished. You force down another spoonful of pottage, trying to ignore the unidentifiable floating bits, the faint, metallic taste that might be rust from the pot or something far more unsettling. The thought of a truly clean, fresh meal, prepared with hygienic precision, feels like a distant fantasy, a concept utterly alien to this world. The whole experience of eating is a grim reminder of your vulnerability, a constant exposure to the dangers lurking in every bite. Your body, a vessel of filth, is now ingesting more filth, a cyclical process of contamination. And you know, deep down, that despite the grand dining halls and the elaborate feasts, you are never truly far from the edge of sickness, a single tainted morsel away from a debilitating illness. It's a bitter joke, isn't it? To be surrounded by such immense wealth, such opulence, and yet to eat like a scavenger, constantly at the mercy of poorly prepared, potentially lethal food. The sheer lack of control over the most basic human need, sustenance, is a constant, quiet humiliation. You finish your portion, scraping the last bits from the communal bowl, and then wipe your hands on your breeches, a gesture repeated by everyone around you. It's a perfectly acceptable, if profoundly unhygienic, custom. The taste of staleness lingers in your mouth, a testament to the court's gastronomic gauntlet, a challenge you must face multiple times a day, every day, until the inevitable. The palace might be covered in a gilded veneer, but beneath it lies a far more pervasive, invisible coating, the relentless presence of venereal disease. Syphilis, known euphemistically as the French pox, gonorrhea, various other unnamed scourges. They course through the veins of Versailles like an underground river, silently eroding the health and beauty of its inhabitants. You've seen its manifestations everywhere, if you look closely enough, beyond the layers of powder and paint. The faint, telltale lesions around a courtier's mouth, disguised as cold sores. The chronic, racking cough of another, whispered to be consumption but suspected by many to be the later stages of the pox rotting the lungs. The disfigurement, the lost noses, the mottled skin, these are the grim calling cards of unchecked infection, often concealed by elaborate wigs, heavy makeup, and cleverly positioned beauty patches. The treatments, when they exist, are often worse than the disease itself. Mercury, administered in various painful and toxic forms, rubs, purges, even inhaling its vapors, is a common remedy, often causing violent tremors, tooth loss, and madness before it might, or might not, cure the initial infection. Quacks and charlatans roam the periphery of the court, peddling dubious concoctions and promising miraculous cures for a handsome fee, preying on the desperation of the afflicted. Shame is a constant, gnawing companion for those suffering. Yet the casual promiscuity of court life ensures its rampant spread. Marriage is a political alliance, not a union of affection, and liaisons outside of it are not just common, but expected. The sheer lack of understanding of disease transmission, the shared beds, the intimate proximity, the casual exchange of bodily fluids, it's a perfect storm for an epidemic. A mistress might pass it to her lover, who then passes it to his wife, who then passes it to her innocent child through childbirth. It's a vicious, silent chain, extending through every social stratum. You've heard the whispered jokes, the dark humor about a particularly persistent French gift being passed around. It's a way of coping, a gallows humor that deflects from the terrifying reality. But behind the laughter lies the chilling knowledge that you, too, could be next. The thought of a hidden sore, a subtle pain, a nagging cough, sends a shiver of paranoia through you. You scrutinize the faces of those you speak to, looking for the telltale signs, the slightly off complexion, the too bright eyes, the nervous twitch. It's a dance of avoidance, a constant assessment of risk in every social interaction. The psychological toll is immense. The fear of discovery, the social ostracism, the slow, agonizing decline into disfigurement and madness. It's a living nightmare. Even within the gilded cage of Versailles, the king himself, it's rumored, suffers from various such ailments, though no one would dare speak of it openly. His mistresses, too, bear the hidden scars of their intimate proximity to power. It's a testament to the court's hypocrisy, outwardly refined, inwardly festering, rotting from within. The elaborate gowns, the powdered wigs, the painted faces, they are all just a desperate, futile attempt to cloak the physical decay, to present an illusion of health and vitality where none truly exists. The most beautiful courtesan, the most dashing nobleman, could be carrying the seeds of their own grotesque undoing, a ticking biological clock hidden beneath their finery. And you, walking through the halls of Versailles, are walking through a silent epidemic, a pervasive, invisible threat that makes every touch, every whispered conversation, every shared laugh a potential vector for your own inevitable, agonizing decline. The irony, of course, is that the very excess and indulgence of court life, the relentless pursuit of pleasure, is also the direct cause of its widespread, silent suffering. You find yourself instinctively pulling your collar tighter, as if a layer of linen could somehow protect you from the invisible tendrils of disease that coil through the very air of this place. The sheer helplessness in the face of such a pervasive, incurable threat is a constant companion, a dull ache beneath the surface of your courtly composure. You can run from a duel, you can scheme against a rival, but you cannot escape the silent, insidious march of the pox. The wig, that magnificent, powdered edifice perched precariously atop a noble's head, is less a fashion statement and more a public health hazard. Your own, when it is finally placed, feels like a warm, heavy shroud, instantly obscuring the greasy reality of your natural hair beneath. But it's not just a disguise for bad hair. It's a breeding ground, a miniature ecosystem thriving with unwelcome tenants. Lice, the ubiquitous scourge of 17th century life, find a veritable paradise in the dense, powdered horsehair or human hair that makes up these elaborate constructions. Fleas, too, leap and burrow, their bites an incessant, maddening itch that no amount of furtive scratching can truly alleviate. You feel them, don't you? The tiny, almost imperceptible movements, the faint tickle on your scalp, the sudden, sharp prick that makes you jump, a discreet cough, disguising your frantic attempt to dislodge the unseen tormentor. The powder, meant to whiten and perfume, also serves as a fine, chalky dust that settles on everything. And you know, with a sickening certainty, that it's laced with countless insect eggs, dead skin flakes, and the general detritus of human existence. The weight of the wig is substantial, often several pounds of hair, wire, and padding, creating a constant pressure on your neck and shoulders, a low-grade ache that persists throughout the day. The heat it generates is stifling, turning your scalp into a hothouse of sweat and grime, an even more inviting environment for the teeming vermin. You can almost feel the individual hairs of your scalp, unwashed for weeks, perhaps months, slowly suffocating under the heavy, powdered mass. The combination of heat, sweat, and unwashed hair creates a potent, musky odor that mingles with the cloying sweetness of the wig powder, a truly unique perfume of decay and deception. You've seen it. The casual brushing of a hand through a wig, followed by a quick, disgusted glance at a finger that has somehow managed to snag a small, dark, scuttling horror, and the polite, strained smiles that follow, as if nothing untoward has just happened. The removal of the wig at night is one of the few true moments of relief, a brief, blessed respite from the constant itch and weight. You can almost feel your scalp breathing again, though the relief is fleeting, as the lice and fleas will simply migrate to your bed, ensuring a continuation of the nocturnal torment. The wig, in its magnificent absurdity, is an extended metaphor for the entire court, a grand, beautiful facade built upon a foundation of festering filth. It is a symbol of status, of refinement, of power, Yet it is also a living, crawling testament to the era's profound lack of hygiene and its complacent acceptance of biological realities. The sheer irony of such opulence being the perfect incubator for parasites is not lost on you. You straighten your posture, adjust the wig slightly, and force a polite smile, even as you feel a distinct wiggle near your left ear. A tiny, industrious creature making its way through the powdered wilderness. It's a reminder, a constant, itchy, and profoundly disgusting reminder, that no amount of outward show can truly conceal the rot beneath. Your wig, that crown of vermin, is a constant companion, a silent testament to the daily humiliation of existing in a gilded cage where even your headwear is a bustling metropolis of unwanted guests. The very thought of it makes your skin crawl, and yet you must wear it. A mandatory accessory for navigating the treacherous social landscape of Versailles. It's a small, yet significant part of your daily torment. A public declaration that, despite appearances, you are never truly clean, never truly free from the creeping, crawling realities of this horny history. The King's Court, a glittering tableau of power and privilege, is less a place of refined discourse and more a brutal, unending game of deception. Every smile hides a poisoned blade. Every whispered compliment a subtle insinuation. You're navigating a treacherous labyrinth where social missteps can lead to ruin, and a misplaced word can banish you from grace, consigning you to a life of obscure misery in the provinces. The constant performance, the meticulous adherence to etiquette, the elaborate bows and curtsies, it's all a desperate attempt to maintain an illusion of order and decorum over a seething cauldron of ambition, envy, and thinly veiled contempt. Your face must be a mask of serene composure, even as your mind races, analyzing every glance, every gesture, every intonation for hidden meanings. The king himself, a capricious sun around whom all lesser stars orbit, is the ultimate arbiter of your fate. His favor is fickle, his displeasure swift and absolute. One day you might be granted a privilege, the next, coldly ignored, a social death sentence more potent than any physical punishment. The power dynamics are fluid, shifting with every new mistress, every failed military campaign, every whispered slander. You must be constantly vigilant, reading the unspoken cues, anticipating the next betrayal. The art of flattery is elevated to a high science, a delicate dance of insincere praise and feigned admiration designed to tickle the king's vanity and secure a fleeting moment of his attention. But even flattery can be a double-edged sword. Overdo it, and you're seen as a sycophant. Underdo it, and you're seen as disrespectful. It's a tightrope walk over an abyss. And the gossip, oh the gossip. It's the lifeblood of the court. A venomous current that flows through every drawing room, every corridor, every whispered conversation. Reputations are built and destroyed on the flimsiest of rumors. Fortunes won and lost on the strength of a malicious lie. You must contribute, of course, to avoid being seen as an outsider, but never too much, lest you become the target yourself. It's a constant calculation of risk and reward, a cynical assessment of who to trust, and more importantly, who to stab in the back before they stab you. The utter futility of true ambition in such a precarious environment is a bitter truth you've come to accept. You can climb the greasy pole, but the higher you go, the more precarious your perch, and the harder the fall. The only true victory is survival. Another day spent avoiding disgrace. Another evening where you haven't offended a powerful enemy. The sheer exhaustion of maintaining this facade, of constantly being on, is draining. Your nerves are perpetually frayed, your mind a whirlwind of political machinations and personal anxieties, the casual cruelty of the court, the indifference to suffering, the way individuals are discarded once their usefulness wanes. It's a chilling reminder of your own expendability. You watch a fellow courtier, a man who just weeks ago held a prestigious office, now banished from the king's presence, his face pale and drawn, his eyes hollow with despair. His ambition, once so vibrant, has been crushed under the indifferent heel of power. It's a stark warning, a silent prophecy of your own potential fate. The air in the salons is thick not just with perfume and body odor, but with the palpable tension of unspoken rivalries, of simmering resentments, of desperate aspirations. Every polite smile is a mask, every courteous gesture a calculated move in a grand and often deadly chess game. And you are but a pawn, hoping against hope that your moves are astute enough to avoid becoming collateral damage. The ultimate irony is that this magnificent edifice of power and wealth is built on a foundation of such profound insecurity and fear. The king, in his absolute power, is also profoundly isolated, surrounded by a legion of sycophants and schemers, each vying for a piece of his attention, each prepared to betray the others to get it. This courtly game, with its intricate rules and ruthless consequences, is a testament to the raw, unvarnished ugliness of human nature, when stripped of any pretense of genuine connection or empathy. Your own heart, hardened by countless betrayals and disappointments, has learned to beat to the cynical rhythm of self-preservation. The grand stage of Versailles, with its endless array of powdered wigs and perfumed smiles, is also a relentless theater of illness and death. Life here is cheap, even for those born into privilege, and sickness is a constant, uninvited guest, often taking center stage without warning. Fevers, smallpox, tuberculosis, dysentery, these aren't exotic ailments. They're the common currency of existence, striking down nobles and servants alike with grim, democratic impartiality. You've witnessed it countless times. A courtier, vibrant and bustling with ambition one day, is suddenly struck down by a virulent fever, his body racked with chills and burning heat, his skin erupting in a grotesque rash. The primitive medicine of the era offers little solace. Bleedings, purges, bizarre concoctions of herbs and animal parts, these are the cures, often more agonizing and debilitating than the disease itself. Doctors, clad in their long coats and beaked masks, are more often conduits for further suffering than healers, their interventions frequently hastening the inevitable. You've heard the screams from adjoining rooms, the gasps of pain, the long, rattling coughs that signal the final surrender. Death here is not a private affair. It's a public spectacle, particularly for high-ranking nobles. Their dying breaths, their final convulsions, are often witnessed by dozens of courtiers, a morbid curiosity drawing them to the bedside. A peculiar form of entertainment in a world devoid of true privacy. The king himself, it's rumored, sometimes watches the agonizing departure of his favorites, a testament to his morbid fascination or his detached sense of power. Grief, when it manifests, is often perfunctory, a brief period of mourning quickly overshadowed by the scramble for the deceased's titles, offices, or wealth. There's a pragmatic indifference to suffering, a chilling acceptance of mortality that borders on callousness. The constant presence of death, the empty chair at the dinner table, the black armband on a noble's sleeve, is a perpetual memento mori, a stark reminder that your own end could come at any moment, without warning, and likely with little dignity. You walk through the halls, and you can almost feel the ghosts of those who have succumbed, their lingering presence a testament to the palace's grim history. The silence in certain rooms, the lingering scent of illness in others. It's a macabre symphony, a reminder that even the most opulent surroundings cannot stave off the grim reaper. You recall the Baron de Montaigne, a jovial man who loved cards and wine, struck down by a sudden illness just last month. His body, bloated and discolored by fever, was laid out in his own chamber, a procession of curious onlookers passing by, their faces a mixture of feigned sorrow and barely concealed relief. Within days, his vacant office was filled, his possessions divided, his memory already fading, replaced by the next ambitious face. The sheer volume of death in a single generation, the swiftness with which lives are extinguished, makes you question the very meaning of existence here. All the striving, all the intrigue, all the lavish display. For what? To end up a rotting corpse, quickly forgotten. Another statistic in the palace's grim ledger of mortality. The indifference of the court to individual suffering is perhaps the most chilling aspect. A servant dies, and another immediately takes their place. A noble perishes, and the line of hopefuls to inherit their status is already forming. Life is cheap, and human beings are merely cogs in the vast, grinding machinery of power. You feel a pang of something akin to despair, a cold dread seeping into your bones. It's not a fear of death itself, but of the indignity of it, the lack of meaning, the immediate erasure from memory. The opulent tapestry of Versailles is woven with threads of human suffering and abrupt, ignominious demise, a silent, sickening pattern beneath the glittering surface. You force yourself to breathe deeply, to push the morbid thoughts away, but they linger, like the faint, metallic scent of blood that sometimes wafts from the infirmary. The theater of illness and death is always playing in Versailles, and you, whether you like it or not, have a front row seat. As dusk settles over Versailles, casting long, bruised shadows across the grimy courtyards, the evening's diversions commence, less a celebration of life and more a desperate attempt to drown out the day's accumulated indignities. The gilded salons, once vibrant with courtly business, now become feverish dens of gambling, heavy drinking, and illicit assignations. The air, already thick with the day's effluvium, grows heavier with the scent of stale wine, sweat, and the cloying sweetness of various perfumes trying and failing to mask the growing stench of human excess. Gambling, a passion bordering on addiction for many, consumes the hours. You watch as fortunes are won and lost on the turn of a card, the roll of dice. The frantic energy, the desperate hope in the player's eyes, speaks of a deeper emptiness, a need for a fleeting thrill to distract from the monotonous grind of court life. Cheating is rampant, of course, whispered about, but rarely confronted directly, a constant undercurrent of suspicion beneath the surface of polite smiles. Wine flows freely, emptying barrels as quickly as it fills minds with a brief, false sense of gaiety. Courtiers drink themselves into a stupor, their usual decorum unraveling with each goblet. Drunken laughter, slurred insults, and boisterous boasts echo through the halls, a cacophony of desperation. You watch a nobleman, normally reserved, stumble and almost fall, his powdered wig askew, a crimson stain on his satin waistcoat from a spilled glass. The forced merriment, the desperate pursuit of pleasure, feels hollow, a fragile shell, attempting to contain the simmering anxieties and frustrations of the day. And then there are the assignations, the whispered invitations, the furtive glances, the sneaking away to private chambers or secluded alcoves. Love, or at least lust, is a currency here, a means of forging alliances, gaining influence, or simply seeking a momentary escape from the crushing loneliness and degradation. But even these encounters are tinged with the pervasive grimness, the shared knowledge of rampant venereal disease, the inevitable bodily odors that no amount of perfume can truly erase, the risk of pregnancy or scandal. It all undercuts any genuine passion. It's a mechanical process, often devoid of tenderness, another transaction in the grand exchange of courtly life. You might find yourself drawn into a game of cards, the feel of the grubby, dog-eared cards in your hand a familiar sensation. Or perhaps you'll accept another glass of wine, letting its warmth dull the edges of your perpetual discomfort. The exhaustion of the day, the constant performance, the stifling layers of clothing, the subtle aches and pains, it all culminates in a profound weariness that begs for release. The diversions offer a fleeting reprieve, a temporary distraction from the gnawing realities, but the stench persists, a constant reminder of the physical decay that permeates everything. The subtle itch of lice on your scalp, the faint soreness in your stomach from the day's dubious food, the knowledge of the widespread disease. These are never truly forgotten, merely pushed to the periphery by the numbing effects of alcohol and the thrill of the gamble. You witness acts of casual cruelty, sharp words exchanged, reputations subtly undermined even amidst the revelry. The lack of true empathy is chilling, a testament to how hardened everyone has become. It's a constant battle for survival, even in moments of supposed leisure. As the night deepens, the atmosphere grows thicker, more oppressive. The grand salons, once alive with a desperate energy, begin to empty, leaving behind a lingering scent of spent revelry and an even more pronounced aroma of human waste. The preparations for bed are a grim repetition of the morning ritual, the heavy wig removed, revealing the matted, greasy hair beneath, the layers of clothes shed, revealing the grimy skin beneath, the chamber pot, once again, awaiting its nightly contribution. There's no sense of refreshment, no cleansing, just a stripping away of the outer layers of deception to reveal the raw, unwashed reality. The evening's diversions offer no true solace, no lasting escape, only a fleeting, perfumed moment of forgetting, quickly swallowed by the inevitable return to the squalor of your own unwashed self. It's a cycle of perpetual grime, a nightly descent into the same physical and emotional discomfort you awoke to, a testament to the court's relentless, draining rhythm. The return to your bedchamber at the end of a long, exhausting day is not a retreat into comfort, but a weary, almost resigned surrender to the inevitable. The room, which seemed merely stale in the morning, now feels charged with the accumulated odors of the day. Your own sweat, the cloying perfume that is now curdled into something sickly sweet, and the pervasive, unchanging tang of urine from the chamber pot. The grand, upholstered bed, once a symbol of your station, now feels more like a sarcophagus, a place where you will simply lie in state until the next grim dawn. The first act is the shedding of the layers, a peeling away of the elaborate costume that has served as your protective facade throughout the day. The heavy wig comes off first, a blessed release, a silent gasp of air for your scalp. You can almost feel the individual strands of your natural hair, matted with sweat and powder, uncoiling beneath the pressure. You run your fingers through it, feeling the grit and the faint, persistent itch that no amount of scratching seems to alleviate. The thought of the vermin still clinging to it, or worse, having migrated to your bed, sends a shiver of revulsion down your spine. The lace cuffs, the stiff collars, the heavy velvet coat, each garment is removed, revealing the clammy skin beneath, sticky with the day's sweat and grime. You can smell yourself, a faint, musky odor that is uniquely yours, a constant, unpleasant companion. The breeches, stiff and somewhat soiled, are finally peeled away, revealing the raw, chafed skin of your inner thighs, a testament to the constant friction of movement. You stand there, stripped bare of your courtly finery, exposed in your squalor, a naked testament to the reality of 17th century life. There's no hot water, no soap, no cleansing bath to wash away the day's filth. You simply exist in it, a living, breathing testament to the pervasive lack of hygiene. You might, if you are feeling particularly energetic, rub yourself down with a coarse linen cloth, but it does little more than spread the dirt around, a futile gesture against the tide of ingrained grime. The thought of truly being clean feels like a distant, impossible dream, a fantasy from another world. As you slip into your thin, threadbare nightshirt, the rough fabric feels abrasive against your irritated skin, a constant reminder of the day's chafing. You climb into the bed, the straw mattress rustling protestingly beneath you, releasing a cloud of dust motes that shimmer in the faint candlelight. The sheets, though changed periodically, always seem to carry a lingering scent of previous occupants, a faint, indefinable mustiness that never quite dissipates. You lie there, staring up at the canopy, your mind refusing to quiet. The day's indignities parade through your thoughts, the biting cold, the pervasive stench, the constant itch, the fear of disease, the petty intrigues of court. Every ache, every discomfort, every perceived insult from the day seems to amplify in the quiet solitude of your bed. The phantom itch on your scalp persists, a cruel trick of the mind. You imagine the tiny, crawling horrors, the unseen parasites that share your bed, feasting on your warmth. You try to find a comfortable position, but the lumps in the mattress, the damp spots, the constant pressure on your aching limbs make true rest elusive. Sleep, when it comes, is often shallow and fitful, punctuated by involuntary scratches, by the dull ache of your teeth, by the vague, unsettling awareness of your own bodily degradation. There is no hope for a better tomorrow, no expectation of a cleaner, more comfortable existence. This is your reality, a relentless cycle of accumulating filth, enduring discomfort, and resisting the creeping despair. You pull the thin blanket closer, not for warmth, but for a meager sense of security against the cold, damp air and the unseen terrors of the night. The knowledge of disease, lurking unseen in the air, in the very fabric of your bed, is a constant, quiet hum beneath your consciousness. And as your eyes finally drift shut, The last sensation is the faint, acrid smell of your own breath. A bitter reminder of the day's enduring legacy of personal squalor. You'd wake up tomorrow and do it all again, wouldn't you? Some habits, like rot, are hard to break.